Welcome to episode 2 of Smartland's Get to Know podcast. Today I'm joined by Valerie Couch.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming, Valerie.
Appreciate it.
Valerie, what is your official position here at Smartland?
Well, I don't know. Person who's been here forever.
Okay.
I guess it's I'm a broker, so that is one of my roles, and I'm a director, I suppose.
Okay.
Yeah.
What necessarily do you direct?
Mostly property management.
Okay.
So I oversee the property managers. I don't oversee maintenance, but or accounting or anything like that, but just kind of like overall, making sure things are flowing as they should.
You have your hands in a lot of different pots here
I
at
do.
Smartland. You said you've been here for a long time.
I just hit my 10-year anniversary in January.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Did that come with a big party with you and Paul? Or
It was not a party, but they did have a very nice gift for me.
Nice.
So,
That's very nice.
They took good care of me.
So you've been here for 10 years.
I have.
How long have you necessarily been in the real estate space?
Well, now I'm going to show my age. So I have been in real estate for over 25 years. I started back in 1998, I guess, with Montlack Realty, with whom you are probably familiar because we recently purchased a building from them.
We did. We bought a 145-unit building off of
There,
them.
give or take,
Yep.
Yeah. So I started back with them in about 98 and was working in the office, doing a little bit of property management. Just kind of, it was a small company, kind of like Smartland, we were just building. I did leasing. And so I was really getting my feet wet in the industry at that time. I would have stayed there. I had to move to Columbus for a couple of years just for family situation. And, I was with Montlack for about 2 years. Okay. So, and then I got my real estate license while I was in Columbus.
So was there anything that called you to real estate, or was it just the most attractive option at the time when you were entering your professional life?
So, I was about 21 years old. And so prior to that, I was in hotel management, which in my opinion is a little bit similar. Mm-hmm. It's just a shorter term, right? You're taking care of guests that are staying in rooms as opposed to long-term tenants who are staying in apartments.
Right.
So having had that experience, it kind of, I answered an ad, it parlayed into it, and I thought, well, these are somewhat similar industries, and it just went from there. And I don't know if it was a calling necessarily, but I enjoyed it.
So what were your progression of roles once you started at Montlack?
Sure. So, the one thing I really love about real estate, and I've told people this, is there's so many different facets to it. There's so much you can learn. Even being in the industry as long as I have been, there's still so much I don't know. And we can always learn. So I started in residential. After that, after I moved back to Cleveland from Columbus, because I was only there for a couple of years and I had my license, I worked for a company called Boxer Realty, which was a small commercial company and leased office space, managed and leased office space downtown. So that was a different facet than residential, right? Much different,
right.
But
so
same concept.
Over here in downtown Cleveland.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, downtown Cleveland, and then I obtained a position with Key Bank in their commercial department. So again, still real estate, doing transaction management, nothing with mortgages or anything like that. This was all transactions, working with negotiating the leases for the branches.
Okay.
And we had a lot of corporate office space at the time as well. So again, just a completely different.
So you've really worked with a lot of different type of asset classes, correct?
I have.
So have you found a main difference between something like retail or office compared to multifamily that maybe stresses you out, or maybe a benefit, maybe something positive?
The way I look at it is, I came full circle, right? I started in residential, and here I am back in residential, and this is where I intend to stay. I think it's where my niche is. I think it's what I'm good at. It is the most stressful of all of them, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's also the most stable. Commercial real estate is very transient. And when you think about it, especially since COVID in 2020, right, how many people actually go to offices anymore? I mean, it's better now than it was. But office space is not the way it used to be. Back when I was doing it in, early 2000s, everybody wanted office space, and everybody wanted to be in downtown Cleveland,
right, because
that was the place to be. It's not like that anymore. People want to be remote. People want to be in the suburbs. Completely different animal. So I'm very actually fortunate and glad that I went a different route.
I mean, is working in multifamily, would you say that's more of a people business compared to something like renting out office space?
I mean, they're all people business. You're still working with clients. You're still working with tenants, but these are people's homes. When they go to their office, they're only there during the day, give or take, right? That's not their home. This is not where they're living. It's not as personal and it's not as important to them. It is still very important. We have tenants want their offices to be nice. As you know, we have a wonderful office here at Smartland, and it's very cozy, and we all spend a lot of time here. So you want it to be great too. But when you're talking about somebody's home, it's extremely personal, and it's extremely important that they have a good experience. And a key to that is having good communication and just having patience.
Yeah, I think especially when you're dealing in a people business and you're dealing with somebody who their actual living situation.
Of course.
I think communication and patience.
It's very personal to them.
Yeah,
so.
Communication and patience are probably two pillars that are maybe two of the most important pillars of property management.
Agreed.
What are some ways that Smartland has innovated on, maybe making that communication back to the tenant quicker, or solving problems as quick as possible when we're presented with them?
That's a great question, and I guess with our visionary here, technology is everything. Technology is key, and not all of our tenants like to participate in it. A lot of people are very old school, but having other different avenues, whether it's phone calls, text messages, after hours opportunities. So, we have a call service, or an answering service, I should say, for emergency maintenance issues. Email, obviously. There are so many different options that we give to our tenants to communicate. They can call the main office. They can call their property manager directly. Again, they can text with those people. Everything is at their fingertips, and it's just a matter of, whatever their preference is. Because we are going to answer all of them.
Right. So, I mean, speaking of questions that need answered, are you answering more questions about maintenance related issues, leasing issues? What questions are you actually answering when they? Most
of them are maintenance,
okay.
and that's property management. What else is there? Mm-hmm. So people want to live in a comfortable environment. They want their home to be perfect. They want it to be their comfort area. This is their domicile. So maintenance is the biggest question that people have to answer, and so that can either come through the property manager, that can go to the maintenance director or the maintenance manager. Sometimes it's escalated to me.
So when we talk about things that are very important to an asset performance, things like tenant retention and higher occupancy are very important.
The most important.
The most important. Would you say maintenance is maybe the biggest factor in retaining a tenant, or would it be somebody like people sitting in the office every day, on site? What makes a tenant re-sign that lease?
Maintenance. 100% maintenance. Yeah. Okay. You can charge them. You can increase their rents. They're not going to go anywhere else and get anything better. I mean, and they know that. We have the product that they want, but if we're not taking care of them as our customer, why would they re-sign a lease? So maintenance and communication are the two most important things. Good. They want to be able to reach somebody when they call, when they text, when they email, whatever their form of communication they choose is. Mm-hmm. And they want things to be taken care of expeditiously. I mean, they don't want to have to wait for somebody to come out because they have a leak, or their heat isn't working. That's a big one, of course.
Especially in the winter months.
Of course. Here. Here in Cleveland, it gets cold. So
absolutely.
They have to have heat.
Now, you did mention that maybe some of the tenants from an older generation may have trouble adapting to this technological wave of, paying rent online, communicating through telephone or even email. Has there been anything that Smartland has done to maybe try to walk them through this process or try to aid them in adapting to a new technological world that we live in?
Absolutely. I mean, we'll take them into our office. We'll try to go through things with them, help them set up accounts. At the end of the day, if they are resistant, if they really can't get it, we will work with them. We will cooperate and accommodate them. So, right. We do have one about 2 years ago. We decided to change over to only online payments to alleviate the administrative part of it with, employees having to enter checks, go to the bank. It's a lot of administrative work, right? We have the capability to do multiple ways of online payments. They can pay with a check, like an ACH. They can use a check. They can use their debit or credit card. There are charges for it, but they can use it if it's more convenient. Right. Now we also have what's called an electronic pay slip. They can print that out or just have it on their phone. It's a barcode. They can go into a store. There's a few stores that offer the service. They go in, they just give cash, and they're done. But we still have a few that are resistant to that as well. We have some older tenants who are not mobile. They can't go to the store like that, and they don't have email. And so if they want to write checks and mail them in, we will make that exception, of course. Good. We try to walk them through it. We try to make them understand the convenience that we're offering, not only to us, but to them as well, instead of having to write a check, get a stamp, put it in an envelope, hoping that the post office gets it to you, because unfortunately that's not always reliable, right? But we'll certainly make those accommodations as necessary.
Good. Now at Smartland, we own, give or take, around 1,500 units. It's very hard to check for one person to check on 1,500 units in one day. What is the organizational structure of Smartland that helps us streamline problems to you, or helps us streamline solutions to the tenants? Like, do we have, you're at the top, right? So are there property managers? What is the chain of command when it comes to just dealing with tenants and
Sure.
solving issues?
Yeah,
for them?
and we not only own but manage as well. So,
Right.
we do have some single-family properties that we manage for investors. So, we have to be conscious of taking care of their asset for them. But, that's a different customer base. But yeah, so we do have property managers. We have 5 property managers throughout, well, 6 if you include Florida, but they're kind of doing their own thing. But 5 property managers who have their own portfolio. Each one consists of a maximum of 300 units. Some are a little bit less. None are more than that because it's not manageable enough. So we want them to be effective. We want them to be efficient, and we want them to have a manageable portfolio. So 300 units is about there.
Okay, so 300 units is the milestone to
Exactly.
set one property manager at the top, or one sort of supervisor to oversee
Correct.
that whole operation.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So that person is the direct line of communication for their tenants. If it does have to be escalated because, and it's just like going to a store. Sometimes you don't get the answer you want. You think you're going to get a different answer from a supervisor or a manager or whomever.
Yeah.
So it does get escalated. And this is just the customer service line of business.
So you'd say outside of just property management and making things look nice, it's customer service.
Absolutely.
At the end
It's
of the day.
100% customer service. It's just like any industry.
Now,
if you don't have a customer base, you don't have a business.
So what other things that people at home might not realize that the property manager needs to oversee? Things like unit turns. Are there any things that somebody new who's getting into real estate, what would surprise them that would be in their day-to-day life that they would have to like a problem that they would have to take care of?
Sure. Yeah, it's not just, roses where you're just saying, oh, yay, I have a person who just moved into their new house. Here's your keys. You see the pictures of realtors online, right on Facebook and Instagram. They're like, hey, look who just got their new home. It's so exciting.
Yeah,
and
champagne
that's all,
bottle.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
They have balloons in the signs, and that's all fine and dandy. But then the reality hits. Now, when you're a realtor, you're done, right? You've sold them their house. They're done. Cool. You're out.
On to the next.
That's right. You're not dealing with the next, I don't want to use the word problems, but the next chapter, right? So, again, we've talked about maintenance. That's something. Then you run into things like people not paying their rent. And unfortunately, it does happen. People run into, financial struggles. We really do vet our tenants ahead of time as much as we possibly can. We use a very sophisticated process to do so. And you can't foresee the future. You can only see things on paper, right? Their credit, their rental history, their employment, how much money they make. If they're not managing their finances appropriately, or people lose their jobs. It does happen, unfortunately. So you do run into issues where people have to be evicted. And so that is a challenging part of property management because it's a very personal thing, right? People are coming to you and saying, I don't want to be homeless. You kind of have the control over that. But you're also running the business. You have to look at it from a business aspect. Yes, you can try to work with people as much as you can. But at the end of the day, if the fact remains that they can't afford it, they're not going to go anywhere else and be able to afford it.
Right, and our pre-screening process can determine whether they can or not, correct?
That's the idea, yes, hopefully.
So if that is effective and then somebody is maybe down on their luck, has Smartland taken measures to maybe work with that individual person?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We will do as much as we can to try to help somebody and to work with them. If we feel that they are fulfilling their end of the bargain, I should say. So if they say, you know what, I cannot pay my rent in full this month, can I just give you half now and half later? If they do it, great. We'll help them with late fees. We'll do whatever we can to help them. We don't want to evict people just as much as they don't want to be evicted. It doesn't help us in our business. Then we have to turn that unit over, and we'll get to that in a minute too, and re-rent the unit. That's a huge cost to the owner. So if we can avoid it, you've got eviction costs. You have to go to court. There's all of these administrative costs that go into it. Eviction is no fun. Eviction court is no fun.
Right. Would you say eviction is more of a last resort?
It is definitely a last resort.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. We don't want to make people homeless. We don't want to be in court. But unfortunately, it is the last resort, and sometimes it's the only option that we have. Something else that the property managers are probably not or wouldn't know ahead of time is unit turn costs and how difficult and how expensive that can be. So anytime you can retain a tenant, that is your best option. So if a tenant, you give them a 3% rent increase, for instance, and they're like, there is no way I can afford that. 3% is not a whole lot. But to some people it is.
Right.
Most of our tenants live paycheck to paycheck, like most of us. I'd rather keep that tenant than turn the unit and get a little bit higher market rent.
Right.
It's just not worth it at the end of the day. So we are doing everything we can to have tenant retention and to keep people as much as we can.
Great. So let's transition more from talking about tenants and the operation side and more to the asset management and the investor side. From underwriting a lot of properties, I can see that a huge marginal difference when it comes to an asset reaching what we project and what it or failing to reach there is in the other income part of the underwriting or asset performance. You know, we know our product when it comes to the interiors of the units, and we know what rental rates we can get for them with our pretty good leasing team. What ways do we try to maximize our other income when it comes to laundry, when it comes to fees? Like, what ways does Smartland go about that?
That's tough because it is still, kind of a learning process for us.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to gouge people, but we want to be competitive with the market. So we're always assessing what the market rates are for not only rents, but other income such as laundry, pet rents. We do allow people to have pets. Mm-hmm. We do charge an upfront amount and a monthly amount for that. It used to be a little bit less. Now we've increased it in the last few years. Things like late fees, things like return payment fees. All of those can be competitive with what other apartment buildings are charging. Garage spaces. Garage spaces are a huge commodity, especially depending on the area that you're in. Places like Cleveland Heights, for example, we have one building. It's a smaller one and 21 units in Cleveland Heights. There's no parking in Cleveland Heights. We only have 7 parking spaces in our garage, and it's always full. We're charging $50 a month. I was actually just talking to the property manager yesterday because I said as soon as one opens up, we should start charging more.
Absolutely.
So it's just like any supply and demand.
Supply and demand
exactly.
dynamic. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting point of view.
Yeah.
Because you want to find a healthy balance of not price gouging, but also finding, hey, this is what the market rate would be for this product.
Exactly.
Now, what about things like our buildings that have no in-unit laundry and so shared laundry rooms, shared laundry facilities? Do we try to own those machines outright, or do we run contracts with washer dry leasing companies?
Yeah, in most cases, we want to own them.
Okay.
When we've entered into some of our acquisitions, like when we've purchased a building, we might already have a contract in place that we have to fulfill. And so that is the case in at least a couple of our existing buildings. But once those contract obligations are fulfilled, then we will transition over to purchasing our own machines. Okay. It's much more lucrative in the end. I mean, there is maintenance that has to be done, but we've got companies that will take care of that side of it.
Okay, so back to more of a tenant-focused conversation. What amenities do we offer a lot of our apartment buildings, and have you seen that certain amenities are more effective than one is more effective than the other in the sense of maybe financial sense or maybe sense of tenant retention? What are like amenities that you think are non-negotiables at Smartland that we need to have?
That we need to have.
Yes.
So things that we've offered throughout the years, we have created dog parks, or I should say pet parks, because hey, maybe they take their cat in the park, right? Pet parks in some of our locations where we've been able to. There's no additional fee for that, of course. Anybody's free to use it.
As long as you pay pet rent.
As long as you pay your pet rent, of course. So you've got your pet parks. We do offer internet in some of our buildings. Now, of course, there is an additional fee for that, but it's very competitive and better service. It's fiber optic. It's better than Spectrum or AT&T. I mean, I'm just throwing those company names out because they're the ones I know.
Right.
But we do offer that, so it's easy. They just turn it on, done. There's no contract. They're not obligated. They're there. We have, I think, the general amenities. We don't have swimming pools or anything like that, but we're not the type of apartment buildings that need to have swimming pools or those kinds of things.
Right.
So we just tried to, again, laundry facilities being on site for all of our buildings have that. Not in suite, but they do all have laundry facilities on site. Parking, whether it's garage spaces or surface lots as well. So, anything that we can offer, that makes sense to the area, we do.
So let's transition into who Valerie is as a person.
All right.
What is your motivation? What gets you going when you open your eyes in the morning?
It sounds so ridiculous and it's probably cliche, but I actually do love coming to work. I really do. Again, I've been here for 10 years. That's a long time to be in a company, right? In the same company. Do I have really stressful days? You better believe it. But the good things outweigh the bad. So I do love coming to work. I'm very fortunate that I work with my daughter. My daughter, and it's not nepotism. My daughter went to college for biology. She started marine biology, got a degree in biology. Decided she was going to become a teacher in biology. And so during the summer, a couple of years ago, she was off. I was short-staffed and said, hey, do you want to come in and, temp for me? And she did and just killed it. Unbeknownst to me. I mean, I knew she's a smart girl, but I've never worked with her, right? Her work ethic is amazing. She's our mother,
Gets that from her mother. Yep.
She's got a great work ethic. She's smart. She catches on to things. She does things independently. And again, I sound like I'm boasting but her coworkers would say the same. And the end result was the owner, Vadim, recognized that and said, I want her to be one of our property managers, and offered her a position. And she said, no, I want to continue teaching. And he's like, but you're so good at it. Here's what should happen. This is why you should do it. And she said, I really want to continue teaching. And then she got pregnant. So, and now I have a 7-month-old grandson.
That's great.
And she works here. So
congratulations.
Thank you. It all kind of worked out, but it's fun. It's great that I get to work with her every day.
Right.
And I'm excited that she was given that opportunity.
Now you both you are mother and daughter, but you're not like a spitting image of each other when it comes to personality wise. You're very, I feel like high strung, very energetic. She's maybe a little bit more chill. How do you think you're just? I mean, I would think that you being energetic would make you a people person. Is that correct?
So Jack, when I was a kid, I was the one always getting moved in class because I was talking too much. Right? They'd say, Valerie needs to go sit over here. And then Valerie would talk to that person. And then Valerie got moved over here and she talked to that person too. The running jokes with my friends is because I told a story about when I was a little kid, maybe like 5 years old. Mm-hmm. And my sister was a lot older than me, so I didn't have like siblings around me. I always wanted to be playing with somebody. And my parents would take me out and I would be like, hey kids. I would be looking for anybody. So to say I'm social is
an understatement.
Yeah. And that was actually my profile. If you recall, we did our, when we were doing culture index, whatever it was, assessments. Mine was not social, but it was in that category. Mine was actually a diplomat. Or debater. I was a debater, which is part of the social category, but a little bit more, I don't know, I guess, debate tendencies.
I mean, I think that's a very useful skill when you're dealing with an array of problems with an array of different tenants. So
I do think that I'm a kind of person who can adapt to a different kind, any kind of person. Really, I mean, we have a lot of difficult people, and I'm not saying that people don't always like me. Trust me, they don't. I'm a pretty black and white person when it comes to business. I'm like, this is the way it's supposed to be done, so this is the way we should do it.
Right.
I try to think outside of the box sometimes to be more accommodating, and that's something I try to work on with myself.
Nice. So let's just put work to the side. What are when you leave the office today, what's on your mind? What are you doing?
Work. But
more work.
No, today actually is a cool day because my mom's birthday was Monday, and Taylor, my daughter, was actually not feeling well, so we postponed the celebration to today. And so I have some sauce simmering at home in the crock pot, and I have a cake, and Mom will come over, great grandma will come over, and grandson gets to come over, and so we'll have a nice little intimate dinner and hang out tonight with everybody. So that's fun. So obviously family is very important to me and to my husband.
Family-oriented person.
We are. We love family, and we love our friends. We're very social. My husband and I are very social people. We're out and about a lot. My husband, I guess we both do, but it was more him beginning, collect Mustangs. Mm-hmm. So we have a huge garage at our house, and it sounds boastful, but it's always been his hobby.
Are you working on them also?
Physically working? No, I drive them.
You drive them.
That's all I do.
Oh, that's awesome.
I do have a 76 because that was the year in which I was born. And so
is that your favorite? Is that your baby?
That's my baby. I like that one. Yeah, it's a little Mustang too. It's really cool, real sharp, real sleek.
What's it look like? Tell me what.
Oh my God, it's like 30,000 miles when I bought this thing. Mm-hmm. Manual transmission, 4-speed, no pickup whatsoever. White with red stripes, red interior. I've taken it to shows. We go to a lot of Mustang shows during the summer, or car shows in general. Super fun.
So the car shows are something you enjoy also?
Oh my God, we love it. Yeah, because you're outside, you're walking around, you're getting fresh air, you're meeting people, you're going to new and different places throughout the country. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, what does that all entail? Is it start with a Facebook group? Is there an organization that schedules these?
My husband takes care of all that. Okay, you know what I mean? But yeah, usually, so he's part of like the Mustang Club of America. He's been doing that for years and years and years. So he's got a lot of contacts there. It is a lot of Facebook groups, and just local cities put on little car shows. Yeah. I live in Mayfield Village. We have a little car show every June. It's super cool. It's just a small little thing right at the corner up where we live, and people come from all over Cleveland area.
Do you always take your baby, or do you switch it up?
So last year we did. So Paul also has a Mustang too. His is a 74, and if you understand Mustangs, there were a few years between, I think it was like 72 and 77, where they were just Mustang 2s because of the price of gas. Mm-hmm. They were a lower economic valued car. So I don't know that much about them, but that's kind of the gist of it. So he has a Mustang 2 that's a 74, mine's a 76, and we parked them next to each other. No, usually we'll take a couple of different cars because we have a few to choose from. Right. So depending on where the show is, depending on what he feels like doing, he'll decide which car he wants to take.
Okay.
To which show. So
last question: when did you learn to drive manual?
Dude, this is a great story. I'm glad you asked it.
Let's hear it.
My dad had a little Cavalier hatchback, and I'm probably, I don't know, whatever age I was. I'm young, but maybe preteen. He would let me shift when he was driving, and I would watch him with the clutch, right? And I would do it with my left hand, but I learned how to do it and where to, whatever. So my parents, now Valerie was kind of a jerk when she was a kid, right? I wasn't a great teenager. Now I'm about 15 years old, and parents go out of town, and Cavalier hatchback is there. I'm like, well, I know how to drive it. And I did. So I took that sucker out. So I've been driving manual transmission since I was 14, 15 years old. So I took the car out with some friends, and I'm showing off, and we went downtown. Now, I grew up in the suburbs, so we're cruising. Everything's cool. My boyfriend at the time worked at Burger King, and he was a little older than me, so he was already driving. And I was like, oh, watch this. And I go there, and I'm pulling out of the parking spot, and I hadn't learned this part yet. I cut it too close and swiped the car next to me that was this high school a girl I went to high school with.
Yeah.
Daddy just bought her like a brand new Camaro, and I swiped the crap out of the side of it. And they all knew who I was because we lived in the same area, and so I got in trouble for that one.
That's hilarious.
Well, but then I still drive manual transmission. So
any more side swipes, or we?
No, I mean, I've had my share of issues with driving, but no, I'm usually pretty good about that, knock on wood.
Love it.
And if you ever need to learn how to drive stick, if you don't know,
I do.
Okay, cool.
I'm back at square one. I have no idea how to do it. So,
you don't know?
Yeah, I will.
Oh my God, it's
Yeah.
so much fun. Once you do it, you're going to love it.
I know. I'm almost too nervous to do it.
Nah. I tried to teach Taylor. She said, I'm never going to need this. Oh, that's right. You're younger than her. You guys in this age group probably don't care. You're like, I'm never going to need this.
Well, Sherry, back when she was a Smartland, she would always, I think her Jeep was
she will not drive
manual, right?
Yeah, she will never drive an automatic.
So me being the gentleman I was trying to be one day, it was snowing outside. I was like, I'll go outside and start your car for you. And then I got there and I was like, I don't know what the hell to do. So I had to walk back inside and put my head down and admit that I didn't know how to drive stick.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Did she make fun of you?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah,
She's
that's Sherry for you.
Yeah, but yeah. Thank you very much for joining the episode 2
Thank
of Smartland's
you.
Get to Know
This
podcast
is fun.
today,
I appreciate
and
it.
we'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks,
Thank
Jack.
you.
Appreciate it.
Make sure to like and subscribe to Smartland's Get to Know podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.